Welcome to the Longest Take podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the Longest Take podcast. In today's episode, we are joined by Samantha Vosmaer. Samantha is an actress with an expansive resume of voiceover work, commercials, TV, film, and some of her credentials include her appearances in shows such as FBI Most Wanted or Chicago PD, or you might have seen her as antagonist in short films such as Fang and its follow-up Encounter Fang. We get to talk about some of her inspirations, aspirations, and ultimately about what film means to us. Please welcome Samantha to today's episode. So first things first, what are your top 5 favorite movies?
Yes. So I had heard you and Diego talking about it. I was listening to your podcast, one of your podcasts with him, but anything Christopher Nolan, first of all, like that fills in the top 5, but we'll condense it to one just so we can get to some other films that are in here. But I just think anything he does, I think he's so brilliant.
Do you have a personal favorite?
Oh gosh, I think you guys were talking about The Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. Obviously amazing. I'm like in love with like the earlier stuff too, like The Following. Have you seen the first?
Yeah.
God, I love it. Like no budget really, but just like solid storytelling. And that's like what I love to work with the most is like people who it's like, I don't think you need a big budget. I think you just need a really clear vision and like a really clear story that you want to tell and a strong point of view. And I feel like that's true for actors, directors, writers, whatever. Like when you've got that really strong point of view, it's really powerful, and it doesn't matter if you've got like huge budget or not. So I think those are great. I love kind of dipping into the horror thriller genre, The Shining. I was actually just watching it again recently, but I love The Shining. I like Stephen King. So Stephen King adaptations, I'm always a harsh critic of, but I mean, Stanley Kubrick, right? Like there's nothing wrong with it. Rear Window from
Jimmy Stewart, right? That's Jimmy Stewart. Yeah.
Basically. Hitchcock. All of those old ones. I love showing them to like my like younger brother, younger siblings, where it's like it's so corny. You know what I mean? Like the special effects and all of that. Like but I don't know. I think it's again great storytelling. It's solid storytelling. It's really good. And then if I'm completely like shifting gears, I love like the rom-com genre, just like those feel-good movies. I like ones with music. So I love like Begin Again with John Carney. Have you ever seen it?
Oh yeah.
With Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley. And I just think it's a beautiful, adorable story film. And then I was like what else is like always on in the background? You know what I mean? Like I feel like people ask these questions and you're like, what great films do I like? And like there's so many great ones, but it's like what's on in the background all the time. And it's stuff like Sweet Home Alabama or like Forgetting Sarah Marshall or Wedding Crashers or something like that is just like let my mind just like melt and laugh.
Right. And it's funny because Sweet Home Alabama, that's like one of my mom's favorite movies. So when I lived at home, that was one of the movies. She has like a rotation of just like, I don't know, 5 movies, and they're all like Sweet Home Alabamas, those like, I think like Devil Wears Prada was another one. Just those like I think early 2000s rom-com types. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, and those are still the fun ones to watch. Like even like rom-coms now, I'm so much more critical of, and I don't know if that's just because like as I've gotten older, it's like, oh, this doesn't hit like the nostalgia feel anymore, or it's like, oh, that's not how things work. But at the time as like a young person watching those ones, it's like, oh, that's romantic, or that's cute, or it's like there's like a nostalgia bit to it.
Right, absolutely. And with I'm gonna touch on a couple of them. So Begin Again, I love that. Have you also seen Once in Sing Street by the same director?
Yes. Yeah,
those are all great. I love his like, I don't know, the musicality every time. Like it's so good.
It's very reminiscent of like older films. Like I think about like high society, or is that the right one that I'm thinking of? Or
High Fidelity.
Yeah, no, maybe like musical older films. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
Where it's like they're not musicals, but they have music and dancing incorporated in them, and usually they're very like pretty and very very cutesy, because we're talking about like 1940s, 50s, films and stuff like that. But I love with John Carney that and especially with Begin Again and with Sing Street, that it's that use of music in a way that's not to make it a musical per se, but to make it, to add musicality to life.
Right.
I guess the way that it speaks.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Has he released anything recently? Or is Sing Street still just the last thing that came out? Because I haven't looked him up in a while.
So I know that they were trying to make Sing Street into like a musical.
Oh, interesting.
To put it up on Broadway. I remember seeing casting, or not casting, but like postings coming through for it, to audition for it. So I know that they were working on that. I don't know where that is, if it went anywhere. I would be interested.
Right.
To see. They could also be doing it in in London too. You know what I mean? Like workshopping over there. And then we won't hear about it for a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, hopefully, because that would be a great way to kind of expand on just what this director is obviously really into doing with music. I think Broadway is like the perfect place for him to kind of play in the sandbox over there,
Mm-hmm. And a completely different genre of it too. It's not big musical theater numbers per se, and I love with Sing Street, like for the kids of it all, like the heart, like I feel like I was like crying at the end, it's just his want and his like trying. And I feel like artists, most people can, I think, identify with that, but artists especially. Yeah,
yep, definitely. And so I love The Shining, but I also love the book, and I'm also a big Stephen King fan. So it's just it is funny because I watched The Shining and I'm like, great movie, but then I read the book and I'm like, they did Dick so wrong. Dick is like amazing in The Shining and Dr. Sleep. And
yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And that's the one thing that pisses me off about Stanley Kubrick is like, why'd you like axe to the back like that? That always gets me mad.
And that was the scariest scene. Like, so I saw the movie before I read the book. And so that was like one of the scariest scenes, right? Because you're just like, you're waiting for it to happen. And you're like, but then when you read the book and you're like, he's the hero.
Yeah.
After all these racist ghosts are on him, and then you just kill him off. Like, come on. And then, yes, thank you for bringing up Dr. Sleep, because I read that book, loved it. And then I watched, and I didn't love the treatment of like the ending in that adaptation.
Oh, see, I'm a huge Mike Flanagan stan, so like I feel like I'm biased. Oh, you are too?
I was so mad. I was like, come on, Mike, don't do this.
Yeah, I saw it as like, so the way they ended, I mean, I guess spoiler alert, but the movie's old now at this point, but with ending it with the boiler room, since that's how the book of The Shining ended, I feel like Mike Flanagan was trying to marry the books and the movie together with how he did Dr. Sleep. And when I think about the book, there's that twist in it that he's actually related to Abra or whatever. Like Abra's mom is Jack Torrance's like child with somebody else or something. There's like this connection between them with Danny and Abra, but in the movie they don't go into that, and then like obviously they just kill him at the end. But it felt like, because I'm a huge Mike Flanagan fan, and someone I'd love to work with, like, oh my gosh. But I was like, but I love in the end of the book how it's about how he got a redeeming arc where his father did not outlive his demons. He could not run them, but Danny got to outrun them. And so then I felt like in the movie, it really broke my heart that Danny didn't get to outrun the demons. He had the same fate as his father. Yeah, that's a really great way of looking at it. Yeah.
But a question off of that before we move on.
Okay.
Because we're talking about The Shining and Stephen King. When you read the book, do you feel like Jack Torrance had the shine or no?
No, I don't know. I didn't, because like the whole time, because I read it after I watched it, I was more so thinking like how much it humanizes him in the book and how much he actually is trying to be better. And in the book, it's more like a sacrifice. It's not like in the movie where he just dies being a psychopath. So maybe I was like too focused on that, but what do you think?
I feel like the book just leaves it really open. Like, I reread the book fairly recently. Because I feel like you always catch things right when you're an adult that like when you were 14 kind of over your head. But I was reading it and I was like, some of the ways that he's describing things, you kind of wonder if like maybe he had a touch, like Dick talks about like some people have a touch of it and for some people it's really strong, and you kind of wonder if he had a touch of it and if that's where some of his demons came from. That's how it got passed to his son. That's how he was able to communicate.
Right, and that could be why the spirits were so attracted to Jack and used him as like their vessel or whatever. In that sense. Yeah, that's I'd have to revisit it to kind of maybe not read the whole thing, but look into it again and see like what the signs are. I was going to say something else about Dr. Sleep. The book ending is beautiful between him and his friend from the hospital because his friend is dying and he does his Dr. Sleep thing with him. In the movie, he just like gets shot in the head or whatever by the villains when they're at the campsite or whatever in the forest. So that's another thing that I wish Mike would have stuck with, because that's a very Mike Flanagan scene too, like a very calm, emotional, like, his friend's passing away and he's doing his shine to ease him into the afterlife. So
yeah, I felt like it could have been really beautiful. Like I remember in like Midnight Mass when they're on the boat right before he goes, he's allowing himself to see the sun to save people from it. And it's like, that was, gosh, it was beautifully like written and beautifully acted. And it was like, that's kind of the moment I think I wanted at the end of Dr. Sleep, that moment of self-sacrifice,
Yeah. And that would have been, that would have been beautiful. And we could do a whole episode talking about Midnight Mass, because that is like my favorite form of like, that's my favorite thing Flanagan's done for sure. But I compare it to my favorite movies, and there are some things that like Midnight Mass I just absolutely love on top of anything else. It's so good.
Yes. Yeah.
But
always down to the Flanagan chat.
Yeah.
If you bring him here, just let me say hi and hand him my headshot resume, please. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I would hope so. I would hope I get to that point. That would be amazing to talk to him. But okay, so moving to the next question. You've got an expansive resume ranging from theater to voiceover. What was your start in the industry, and when did you know this is what you really wanted to do?
So I mean, as a kid, like I always loved theater. I was always a shy kid, so I felt like theater and being on stage gave me words to say and something to do. And so then I didn't have to think about what I was doing or who I was. It was just like I didn't have to be judged on me. I got to be judged on an art, or I got to perform an art. And I think that was always really freeing. So I knew for a long time that I wanted to be in this arena. I went to school for theater, musical theater. And then after college, I kind of took a break and I tried a couple other avenues. I did an internship in casting. I did some internships in production, which all fed really well into what I'm doing now. Like I'm thankful to have gotten time on the other side of the audition table and on the camera. It gave me a much greater understanding of what everybody is doing and just a heightened respect for the job. And like actors, we get to go home, they're still cleaning up, they're still doing their job, they're setting up for the next day. So I think it's really important to give them lots of credit. But then about 5 years ago, I sort of looped back to it, and it's like, what, this like this desire is still there, and like I would rather hit the end of my life and be like, I tried, or I figured out that this wasn't right, than to just be like, I wonder if this is a thing. So I jumped back into it, and I utilized my time in the pandemic era to take a whole bunch of classes on getting back into film acting. Before that, I had done theater, which is, where most of my background was, but it really gave me the time and the freedom to just experiment with on camera and getting comfortable with auditions. And, in a time that, we weren't sure what else was going on, but we got that. So I was thankful for that.
Yeah. And it's always good to have that, especially when you have theater acting going into film, because there's so many things that you benefit from learning when you're in theater, such as like you don't get like multiple takes, right? In theater, you might get multiple performances, but like during the show, that's it. So it definitely I think it motivates people to memorize lines a lot more efficiently, and it's not like Marlon Brando, who would like write lines on people or have them hold up papers. So when he's shooting a scene, he would just like read it off somebody. So,
well, yeah. And when you hit a certain tier, maybe people do that for you. You know what I mean? Cue cards or whatever. But yeah, right, like, memorization. And I mean, memorization of like good material too. You know what I mean? Like that, I think that was one of the harder things transitioning from theater to film, is usually when you're working with theater and you're doing it with not just like, you know, which I have a respect for, you know, like independent playwrights, but sometimes every now and then you get one and you're like, I don't think Joey knows how to write, you know, so, but like whenever you get like really good material, it's really easy to memorize it, and it's really easy to make connections and make choices. And then sometimes you get some material and you're just like, what is this? But making some of that transition has been interesting.
And I think that brings up a really good point about, like, you know, when you do get some sort of role or you get an offer or somebody reaches out to you about a project, that's why I think it's important for you to actually, you want to pick projects that you actually want to do. Otherwise, you're not going to have any motivation to even want to memorize anything. You're going to give like a half-assed performance possibly. You know, it's always great to actually want to do what you're doing. And I think if you have that luxury of choice in what you do, I think like you've got a pretty good setup, you know?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, I mean, you know, there's a degree to which like the first couple of years I did a lot of student films, and some of them were actually really interesting, and I got to meet a lot of really cool people, and some of them not so great. And so in that regard, I didn't choose a lot, but I feel like you get to choose pretty quickly what it is you want to stick your face and your name to. And I think that's important. Like you can be a say yes to everything person, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think there is something to, like, I know that I've said no to things just within the last year or two, of just like, I know that if I go to do this, like my heart's not in it. You know what I mean? And I never go through an audition process or anything if I don't think that there's a chance for it. Like I don't want to waste anyone's time. But whenever, you know, you read someone's work, I think you know pretty quickly if you're like, I can get behind this, or if you know, and then just back off. Like I said, don't waste people's time.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a professional courtesy at that point, you know? And I think out of everything that you talk about that you've done, you know, the commercials, voiceovers, film, TV, what has been the most rewarding for you? And then which of those have been some of the more challenging projects that you've done?
Ooh, rewarding. I mean, there's nothing like live theater. So there's always, I mean, anytime you can be on the stage, that's amazing. I feel like there's not really, I've done some really cool stuff. There's not been like one project that it's like, wow, this is the most rewarding, but there's been so many moments of like feeling really rewarded in the work that I got to do, to be on set with directors and to see how they work, to learn where I feel comfortable and uncomfortable in certain situations, and getting to be better and feel stronger in my like choices and in my work from doing that has been really rewarding. Challenging and then, you know, much the same challenging. I don't know that there's been one project that it's like, wow, this is like really set me back a whole bunch, but there's been certain moments on projects. Like I remember one of the first commercial shoots that I did. We were working with, we have, you know, on set, you've got like the directors, and then you've got the entire crew, and then you've got like producers, and you've got the executives of the company that they're doing the advertisement for. And how many of the executives are like, we need this to be more bright. And it's like, okay, by that, do you mean you need it warmer? You need it more smiley? You need sunshine? Do you need it more energetic? You know, like what are you looking for, I guess, in this? And so like some of the challenges in commercials specifically have been like translating people who have a vision, but maybe not, but like don't have the words and aren't necessarily on the artistic spectrum of the job to like, how can I make it's, it's my job to take that and the director's job to take that. And how can we make this vision come true with a word like, we need this to be more orange or more, whatever.
Yeah, and I think a big piece of that, especially when it comes to executives, is how they're trying to convey what they want from their like corporate speak or what they know, and just trying to translate that for like a performer such as yourself, right? I feel like that's always difficult to kind of like, okay, you say this, but like, do you mean this or do you mean that? I think that, yeah trying to find that sweet spot, I could imagine, could be pretty difficult sometimes.
Yeah, but also like, what I'm learning as I'm going through, it's like, that's the job is being able to say, okay, so that could mean these 3 different things. You're not really sure. Let's do it these 3 different ways. And let's see, is one more along the lines? And then, okay, we can work with that from there. And I think that also came another benefit of like having a background in theater, right? Like, I think every actor ever has a story of like a bad director that didn't know what they wanted, but knew very strongly how it should look. And so like having to take some of that direction and really synthesize it into something that was workable.
Yeah, and I like thinking about it like that because, for me, I'm someone who's behind the camera, and one of my favorite parts of being on a set in general is the troubleshooting. I always love, I know it's not good to love this, but I love when shit goes wrong because I'm like, all right, how are we going to figure this out? And then to me, that's always really rewarding. So I think that, I would appreciate that with what you're talking about, how, one, it's a job, but 2, it's like, okay, they're telling me this, I'm going to figure this out. Let me put these pieces together, because once you do, it just, that's how you get it to be a little more rewarding, I think, figuring that stuff out.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that goes back to the other thing we were saying about like, whenever you're taking on these projects, make sure it's something you can get behind, because if you can, then it's absolutely worth the troubleshooting. But if it was something that you weren't really sure you wanted to be there with in the first place, then that's a really long day for you. Yeah,
then you're just going to be miserable the entire time that you're there.
Yeah, and then your face is on something that's like that you're not doing great work for, that you're not trying to do great work for. Like that doesn't help anybody in this situation.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, my follow-up was going to be about your most difficult project. You mentioned that you don't really have one in particular. Would you say that, I guess, commercials would be the, I guess, toughest in a lighter sense that you've gone for?
No, I wouldn't say that they're all tougher, because I've gotten to work with some really, really awesome people and a lot of fun people and a lot of really smart directors. So I would say it totally depends, like, on the project in particular. I will say, in terms of challenging work, I've always, like, it's a love-hate with like voiceover work, because I think it's a lot of fun. And I think that there's a lot that you could do with your voice. I love doing different voices and different characters and stuff like that. But I know that, like, you're very conscious of the way you sound. So it's like, I know that my voice can carry a lower tone or, depending on like how I'm feeling on the day. So that comes off as like a little bit more direct or like dead. And so it's like making sure that I'm always bringing that up and like overcompensating for that. So I would say, because, then you don't have the benefit of like smiling at somebody and look, like whenever you can see someone's face, it's like translating text messages versus talking to someone in person, right? Like on a text, you're like, I think this is how they mean it. But voiceover has been like a new challenge. It's been a lot of fun, but definitely probably one of the more challenging things recently that I've been trying to work through.
And with the voiceovers, have they only been commercial work, or have you done anything narratively with voiceovers so far?
I've done only commercial work so far, but I would love to do narrative work. I'm loving sort of the resurgence trend of like actor storytelling podcasts, essentially. Like audio. I love audiobooks. First of all, I listen to audiobooks all the time, but like, actual storytelling with it, like the old audio plays. I think that there's definitely a place for them in the way that podcasting and audio content is going. And I think that it's really cool.
Did you have a personal favorite? Because I remember, and this was around COVID, I feel like they haven't been as popular since COVID, because COVID really took off with audio dramas, especially. Mm-hmm. There were some really great ones there, but can you recall any that you're a big fan of?
I don't. No. What are some of yours? Tell me.
So, and recently I actually started listening to this one, but Marvel Wastelanders.
Okay.
That one's cool. It's like kind of post dystopian Marvel universe, and you follow like Star-Lord for a couple episodes, Hawkeye, and I think Black Widow and some others. But there's this one called Ars Technica or something like that. It was like this really interesting time travel thing.
Oh, cool.
But I haven't listened to it in years because, like I said, it was during COVID time. That's when like a lot of these were popping off, and I was like, oh, this is a lot of really cool stuff because you don't have as much movies, but if you could record at home, people were doing it. So yeah, I kind of want there to be more of a resurgence of those. You know, bring those back a little bit.
I'll have to listen to some of those. But yeah, because I think it's such a cool way to tell a story. I think there's definitely a foothold for it.
Yeah, and even like from a sound design perspective, like, you know, you put in all like the effects, because you're talking about those types, right? Where it's like, yeah, it's like it's an audio movie, you know, or whatever. Right. And yeah, those have always been fascinating to me. And even with sometimes Audible releases something where they get a bunch of actors or actresses and they'll read like either a movie or not a movie, a book or something, and it's cool. I don't know. And I feel like it's such an easy cash grab for any actor to do it, because you could get someone like James McAvoy to just, you know, be on their microphone for a little bit and there you go. Like, the work's done. Yeah.
And it's going to sound amazing.
Yep, absolutely. What's your dream project? So, you know, whether it's a type of story you want to be a part of, filmmaker you want to work with, or if there's fellow performers that you might want to work with as well.
Well, I mean, we already touched on, right, like some of the big ones, like Christopher Nolan. I feel like that's every actor ever, but anything by him. Mike Flanagan, of course. Ryan Murphy also. I'm a huge American Horror Story fan. Huge fan of like a lot of his stuff. I love what was the last one that he did about the Menendez brothers?
Oh, Monster
series, yeah. And like the one episode that he just did in one take, which I think is a gutsy move. But again, to go back to like the theater thing, you don't get multiple takes. You just do it once, and it's such a strong take. I thought that was beautiful, and I feel like he pulls that kind of performance out of the people that he works with. He's good at finding that and pulling that out of people, and I think that's really cool. So I think it'd be cool to work with him. Yeah, to kind of like get the assessment right and like see what can happen there. I love, like I like that kind of the horror genre. I love like a good thriller. I've always been a fan of mystery stories, so I really like that kind of thing. I love dark comedy. So something in that realm there, like, yeah, Stephen King adaptations. Again, I would be such a high critic of it, but I think that there's so many of his books that just haven't seen a full day in the sun yet. And I think
Revival I don't know if you liked Revival, but Revival is my favorite book of his, and that needs to be a movie because I absolutely love it.
Oh my goodness. I finished Fairy Tale not too long ago, and I'm just in love with it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, someone needs to do this, but they need to do it well.
Right.
You need to do it well. But I think, but I mean, anything by him. I'm always inspired by like different theater performers as well. And being able to do live theater has always been a dream. Like, always want to do a play, big like Broadway play, I think would be just amazing. I got to see last year, Sarah Paulson was on Broadway for
awesome.
Appropriate. And she won the Tony for it. She was amazing. She somehow managed to make a play where she was screaming for 2.5 hours. Like, oh my goodness, it was so good. She just managed to add so much depth to it, even though she kept her tone at this like yell the entire time. So I don't know how she kept herself healthy during that, but I just thought she was incredible. I was absolutely floored.
That's amazing. And it's funny that you brought up the one episode in the Menendez Brothers show, because I didn't watch that whole season, but I did watch that specific episode because, as you could tell by the name of this podcast, The Longest Take, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with long takes. And it's funny because when I did my first short beginning of this year, and I did it as a oneer. It's about a 16-minute oneer that I did for it, just one long take. And one of the prerequisites to the leads was if they had any theater experience, because going into it, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, okay, if someone understands theater, I feel like they're gonna, maybe understand a little bit more how to adapt to this. But
yeah, you have to be okay to live in it, and it's not going to look cute. And I think you're right. Theater actors do that really well. I love watching right now, like on the Gilded Age, Carrie Coon is on it, or she was in The White Lotus recently as well. And I've seen her on stage. To see her in this, though, I just love that she's like not afraid to be messy. Like she's beautiful. Like in the Gilded Age, like she's beautiful. But I mean, I just love that her work. Yeah, like you can tell she's just like consistently, like it's just rolling, and it's like she's not afraid for it to look weird or messy or whatever. And I love that. I think that that's so much more authentic.
Yeah, and I never even thought about that with her in particular, because I love seeing her in stuff like The Leftovers, and recently, did you see His Three Daughters on Netflix?
Yes.
Oh, fucking, I love movies that are like just basically all dialogue. But yeah, that's a really good point about her, where it's like there's like this, I don't know, effortlessness to how she seems. She's obviously doing a great job, but she's not trying to be pretty or anything like that. She's just doing it,
and like people don't.
Yeah.
Like people aren't trying to be pretty, and I feel like everyone falls into that trap at some point, because it's like you're doing this thing and your face is on it, and it's like, yeah, I want to look nice. I want to look cute. I want, like this is going to be immortalized. I want it to look good, but it's like, nah, man, the best performances are the ones that aren't afraid to look really dirty and really messy, and like just take the shot. And there's things that come up whenever you're doing like when you've got like a really great monologue or a really great scene, and it's just like following your instincts, and it's like you could practice it. And then just like your partner says something just the right way, and that triggers something else in you, and then you get to respond to it in a different way, and being like just open to that. I think that's what allows it to be messy, and that's what allows it to be a little bit more playful and fun. And I think the audience, anyone would agree, the audience always sees that whenever there's like that moment of genuine inspiration or like that light bulb behind someone's eyes. I think it's always evident, and I think that's some of like the best actors' work, is when you see that they're just making some of those choices on the fly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, actors who improvise a lot too, and when they nail it with their improvisations, it's always awesome.
Yes, absolutely. And improv is a whole other skill set too. Like when people are really good at it, like that's amazing.
I completely agree. So Fang and Encounter Fang, there's some shorts you've done where you play a vampire. Are you interested in continuing to play in that sandbox of genre filmmaking? I don't believe that I've seen anything else like that in your resume and your work. Is that something that interests you? I mean, you already talked about wanting to do Stephen King and all that. So yeah.
So whenever you say in that like sandbox genre, like in the horror, sci-fi kind of.
Yeah. And like, I mean, yeah. So genre, when I say genre filmmaking, I'm talking like sci-fi, horror, fantasy, even just all the fun stuff, Yeah,
definitely. I'm interested in it. And I was really drawn like to doing Fang and Encounter Fang. I think I reached out to Diego, who, the director of the project. I reached out to him for another project that he was directing like a year or two before Fang, kind of along the same lines. And I just told him in my like cover letter email thing, I was like, I really want to play a villain. I want to be a bad guy. You got to make me a bad guy in this thing. And he didn't call me back for that role. So it's like, whatever. Right. But then he reached out like a year later and he's like, I have this thing. Do you want to do this thing? And I just loved it. And like his passion for the Fang movies is really evident. Like both times that I've gotten to be on set with him for them, like, I think what I love about working with him is he's taking what he does very seriously. Like his vision is very clear, and you could tell it means a lot to him. And he's doing this great work. He's finding these people that align with it, and so it's coming out really beautifully. But he's not taking like himself too seriously, like he's willing to have fun with it, and like he's willing to be creative in the moment and trying different things. And like there's either myself or someone else on set like, can we try this? And he's down for it. He's not so rigid that it's like we're doing it just like this. And so it's such fun to work with him, because he's he's passionate, but also like collaborative, and just really excited about what he's doing.
Yeah, I agree too. Just with some of the sets that I've worked with him on as well, and I think that just kind of being a little more fun or open on your sets as a director, that's how you get those performances we talked about before, where it's more organic feeling, or it's when you give your performers that give them that space to kind of be themselves, or do kind of to really feel the character that they're supposed to embody. I think that that's important, and that's awesome to hear that Diego kind of, it sounds like he understands that as well.
I think so, yeah. And like to that end, like, yeah, I would love to play more in like the genre, and in that, wherever he, we take those short series, I think would be really cool. I will say, I feel like I'm an outlier in it. I work with a lot of the people that we've worked with on those films. I'm not a huge fan of like a lot of like gore,
Yeah.
which is funny because I'm spitting out blood in these films. It's got a place, but I think to go back to like the original point of like the story, I'm like, what? And that's, I think, what always like draws me back to Diego's projects. I'm like, you put some thought into this. I want to do that.
Yeah, yep. I can agree. I can agree with that. It's funny. One of the I'm not going to say which project because I guess it's a spoiler, but one of the projects with that group, the Chivis folks, someone gets their dick chopped off, and it's like, yeah, that's that gore that you're talking about. There's definitely
Listen, sometimes someone deserves it, but like,
right.
there's a place. There's a place. Not saying that there's not. And like, again, like half the people I'm mentioning here, like Ryan Murphy stuff.
Oh yeah, you got gore in that. Yeah,
it's all over there. So it goes. Just depends. Depends on how the story goes.
Exactly. I was gonna say it's about the story. And speaking of story, are you interested in other elements of film and TV, perhaps writing or even directing yourself?
I mean, writing sounds so cool, but I really have never felt like I'm a writer. I would love to produce. I feel like I read a lot, and there's a lot of books that I'm like, this deserves screen time. This needs to be there. Stuff that I would like to be in, and stuff that I don't think I'm a great fit for, but I think this still needs to be put out there. So I would love to, at some point in my career, get to a point where I could be producing some of those things. I think there's some really cool stories to tell.
Ooh, are there any that you could think of off the top? I mean, besides Stephen King, because obviously he's got some books that need to be made into movies still, but
obviously. So one of my favorite authors, one that I'm like really following right now. Have you ever heard of Jason Mikuliak?
Oh, Hidden Pictures?
Yes,
I read Hidden Pictures. I haven't read his other one, but
he's got two more, but one's a story about kids, and I was like laughing out loud reading this book because it was so sweet, so heartfelt, and also just like so, I mean, it's 12-year-old boys. It's like, it's complete farce at times, but like I loved it, and I was like, oh, this needs to be a series, like to follow these boys' story. It was really sweet while they're creating this video game. I just thought it was so cute. And then I think his the last book that he just came out with, and I'm blanking on the title.
Doesn't it have to do with like a wedding or something? Or
it's like, I want to see the last one at the wedding, but if that's not his book, I'm really, really sorry. But I'm pretty sure that's the title. But but that was one of those, like, you're reading it's focusing on the story of a father. Mm-hmm. But his daughter is one of the central pieces, and that was a character that I think I would like to play. And if anyone's not, if anyone's in the middle of reading the book, pause right here. But like, I loved that she, again, I like to play. I like the villain. Mm-hmm. I like the bad guy role. But I love that she's, I think when you're an actor, right, you need to find, like what people's, what's my motivation, but like why is it that people are doing what they're doing? And I'm reading this book and I'm like, yes, what she's doing is not right. Objectively, as Samantha reading this book. But like, if you had the shot at playing her, it's like, oh my goodness, she's had, this life that's left her with this pain. And here she is, she's going to set herself up to come out the other side stronger. And there's a part of that you want to root for, even if she's being a complete a-hole, awful human in the meantime. So I think that those characters are so interesting. Those are the best villains, right? And so I think the story needs airtime, and someone needs to make it with me.
Yeah. I definitely, thinking about Hidden Pictures, because that's the only one that I actually read of his. Just doing the sequences, I think with is it just drawings? I don't know if it's drawings or actual like painting in it or something, but I think there's a lot there that would look cool on a visual level.
Yes. Yeah. Because in the book it's drawings, right? Like it's either on paper or the kid is painting, or when she takes to the walls.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Which, like, can I tell you? So I had never read. Goodness gracious! I got in from a flight at 2:00 in the morning last night, so I am.
Oh no!
Like, I went through on like sugar right now. But so when I was reading it, I was doing the audiobook version, so I'm listening to this story, and it's such a good story, and I'm loving this. And then finally, I picked up a copy of the book after I had finished it, and I see that he actually put the pictures in the book, and I was like, "Damn it!" Like, I should have been looking at these visuals that had so many clues in it as to the story that you miss on the audio. But the audio was very good if anyone doesn't have time to read and just wants to listen.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, that's what I do. I'd say half the time, because when I'm at home, I could read, but whenever I'm driving somewhere, I'll listen. I do both. So yes. I'm usually spending twice as much on an author because I'm getting their audiobook and I'm also getting the physical copy.
Yes. But sometimes like nothing replaces the physical copy. Like I'm definitely a purist in that way. I like to like fold the book in my hands and like hold it and like feel the pages. No offense to like e-reader users, but I like the physical thing. If I'm going to read it, I want the physical thing.
Yeah. Yep. Nothing beats that.
No.
100%. And what was the name of that first book that he did with the kids?
Let me look it up.
Because I was only familiar with the most recent and Hidden Pictures. I didn't know what he did before Hidden Pictures. So
we were correct. It was the last one at the wedding.
Okay.
It was the newest one, but it's called The Impossible Fortress.
Oh.
Is the first book. And it's seriously, it's so sweet, so funny. Yeah, highly recommend it. I think that was his first book. I'm pretty sure that was the first one. At least the first, novel.
Yeah, it seemed, and the last one at the wedding, that was relatively recent, right?
I think that was just about a year ago.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah. He's definitely an author I've been looking out for, especially because, and I'm getting off on a tangent here, but Stephen King doing horror has made me significantly more picky and spoiled when it comes to horror novels, because I can't get into a lot of horror because I just love the way he does it so much.
Yes, absolutely. Are you a Karen Slaughter fan?
No, I haven't read any. Karen Slaughter's the author?
She is an author, yeah. I just read, I think it was Pretty Girls, and she created the character Will Trent, which I believe is a TV show. But she's also like, she's a little bit more of a thriller, scary, but like it was kind of freaky, and it was one of the first ones since Stephen King where I was like, I actually have to put this down for a second.
Yeah. I'll look into her. I'm sure when I see the book covers, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, I've seen this somewhere.
Yeah.
But there's Stephen Graham Jones and Ronald Malfi are two horror writers that they get close for me sometimes. I think that they're pretty good horror writers, but they're it's very much horror. It's not thriller. It gets gory sometimes too, of course.
Yeah.
But
as is with the territory.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So have you read anything from those guys? I
haven't. No. I'll be making notes though, because now I've got like podcasts and stories to check out, books.
Yeah. There's a wealth of everything to look into, and honestly, that's why I like asking people what their favorite movies are or what they like to read, because then it's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
And,
it's one of the best ways to get to know people too.
Yeah, 100%. And stage plays in particular, that's something that I want to see more of. And I don't think I've ever really seen one except when I was a kid, and it was like a field trip to go. There was this place we used to go to back then, and they do some plays there. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen, as an adult, any stage plays.
Well, now I have your email, so when something pops up that is like really high on the radar, I'm going to be like, listen, we're going.
Yeah.
Gotta go. There's so many good actors in Chicago that are doing that. They're doing some like really cool plays, really interesting stories, and yeah, hit me up when you see something come by, because that would be so interesting. And it's funny because this, I mean, it's kind of connected, but I've always wanted to see an opera, even though operas are like much longer and it's just, a lot of singing and orchestra or whatever. But I've always wanted to see one of those too. Would you want to see one like a more of like a rock opera? You can understand it, or are you down for like? I'm down for like the, what is it, Italian or like 4 whatever. Hours of German.
yeah. I don't know how much I'd appreciate it, but I don't know how much I would like enjoy it. But I've always wanted to do that too. It's another stage thing. Yeah, well, the lyric opera in Chicago is pretty cool because I believe for all productions they have the words, so you can also you also know what they're saying. But I feel like, again, some of the actors are so talented that you're just watching them and you're like, I know this, I know what you're doing. Like I understand the story, and I feel like when they're coming off real clear, you're like, I don't need the words. And sometimes the translations are also just like a funny added. You know what I mean? Like linguistically, it's never a 1-for-1. So it's always funny to see what's close. Yep, and that's how I feel with a lot of foreign film too. I love watching foreign films, and it's funny. So it's basically like they're giving you the subtitles for the opera. Then they give it on your, you get a program or whatever, and you read along. Is that how that works? The last time I was there, they had like a screen at the top of the stage. Oh, like, shit! It was like subtitles, but at the top. So it was like wow. But it's just like watching a foreign film. Like you get split vision at some point, and you're just like, okay. This is how you watch it. Yeah. But foreign films also, like, always so good. And like, if we're talking about horror, like the way Australians and the French do horror films, I just think is incredible. Gosh, there was so many, like, especially when I was younger, and I would drag my friends to like the film festival, and I'd be like, we're gonna go see this one. I bet this one's gonna be good. And I can remember one time I went and saw the movie, and we left, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like that was I'm scared. I'm still scarred, and I'm real sorry. But it's also like fun, I guess. Weird fun. Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember what movie that was that you're thinking about? Snowtown. Oh, is that it's like a Norwegian thriller about the serial killer guy? I believe it was Australian, but yes, it was about the serial killer in Australia. And there was like the one torture scene in it that I like, it still sticks with me. And I just remember at the time, I think that was one of the more gruesome things that I had seen. And this movie came out, gosh, like 15 years ago or something like that. Yeah, it's been a little while. It's been a minute, but I just remember just being like, sorry guys, my friends put trust in me, and I'm really sorry if I abused it right now. But like like an interesting story. I still find it fascinating. Truth is stranger than fiction, right? So I think anything that's based on real stories, and then you read the real story and you're like, oh, shit. Yeah, that's one of the things that fucked me up about that one, is the fact that it's based on real events, and yeah, that's not good. And before we get off this, though, 2 really good Australian horror movies, or horror adjacent, from this year: Bring Her Back and Together. Those were both by Bring Her Back is going to be a rough watch. It's by the guys who did Talk to Me. Did you watch Talk to Me a couple years ago? No, I didn't. Oh, that's another one, and they're Australian. It's these Australian brothers that direct them, and they're really great with what they do. I bet. I'm scared because I know what the Australians do with horror, but I'm ready for it. Okay. Bring Her Back, Talk to Me, and what was the other one that you said? Together. That's the one with Dave Franco and Alison Brie, if you've seen any previews of that. I've seen previews of that one. Yeah, so that one not as intense, but that's also, I think, that's another Australian filmmaker. But
Okay.
yeah, they're and you know what they're capable of, so just be prepared.
I've been warned. Okay.
Yeah. So I like to start and end these interviews with the same questions for everybody. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? And that could be professionally or personally.
I mean, I think I'd like to just be doing more of what I'm doing. I want to, I want my career to continue. I want to continually establish myself further into film and the TV sphere. I would love to be continuing to pick up theatrical projects. I would love to be in a position where I can start to produce some of my own work and be able to see some of that come together. I feel like there's a lot that's happened in the last 5 years, and so I feel like moving in the right direction. I'm hopeful.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute there. Yeah, so that's awesome. So you're saying that, like, just in the past few years, or even this year, you've noticed a lot of things moving. You got a lot of plates moving, or I don't know if that's a saying.
Spinning plates. I got a lot of plates. Balls in the air, plates spinning. Yes, but I like I'm so thankful for it, and like I'm a journaler, and like I'm looking back on journals from like 5 years ago, and like I was just like praying, like, please, I just want to know, like, I just want to audition for this thing. Can I just audition for like a cool thing that isn't Joe's homemade movie in his basement? Like, I want something cool. And then like now I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, I'm getting to audition for some of these really, really cool things. And I'm getting some really cool scripts, and I'm so grateful for it. And I'm like, now I just want to I want to do more. I want to be able to do more. And so it's like, I'm excited for 5 more years being able to work with people and get to meet people and audition with people, and where that puts me.
Yeah. It's amazing to have that drive too, because that's exactly what's going to continue to excel for you, is just having the motivation. So I think that's really a great thing to have.
Yeah, I think you need it. Right? If you're working in this industry, like you gotta have something that's motivating you, because it's certainly not the promise of lots of money and jobs all the time.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Samantha, or Sam, whichever one you prefer. Samantha. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.